Welcome to our exploration of wages, a topic central to economic discussions impacting everyone. Today, we embark on a journey to demystify two pivotal concepts, the living wage and the minimum wage. These terms are often used interchangeably, but they hold distinct meanings and implications crucial to understand, especially as we consider the future of work. Let's begin by defining these terms. A minimum wage is the lowest remuneration that employers can legally pay their workers. It's a wage floor set by law, ensuring that workers receive a baseline level of income. This concept is designed to protect workers from exploitation and to provide a basic standard of living. On the other hand, a living wage is a more aspirational concept. It represents the income necessary for a worker to meet their basic needs, which include housing, food, healthcare, and other essentials. Unlike the minimum wage, a living wage isn't mandated by law, but is considered a benchmark for what workers should earn to live with dignity and security. It's a reflection of the cost of living in a particular area, and its calculation can vary significantly based on location and family size. Understanding these definitions is more than just an academic exercise. The distinction between living and minimum wages is vital, because it highlights the gap that can exist between what workers earn and what they need to sustain themselves and their families. This gap can have profound implications for individuals, communities, and the economy as a whole. As we delve deeper into this topic, we'll explore why these concepts matter. In a world where economic disparities are growing and the cost of living continues to rise, knowing the difference between a living wage and a minimum wage is essential. It empowers us to engage in informed discussions about worker rights and economic justice. Throughout this video, we'll examine how these wages affect not only individual workers, but also broader economic trends and policies. By understanding the intricacies of wage definitions, we aim to shed light on their significance in shaping the future of work. This knowledge is crucial as we navigate the changing landscape of employment, where new challenges and opportunities are emerging. So join us as we unravel these complex yet fundamental concepts. Together, we'll gain insights into how wages impact our lives and the economy, setting the stage for a deeper discussion on the path towards a more equitable and sustainable future. Let's delve into the concept of a living wage. At its core, a living wage is more than just a paycheck. It's a promise of economic security, ensuring that workers can meet their basic needs without financial stress. Unlike the minimum wage, which is often a fixed amount determined by law, a living wage is dynamic, adapting to the cost of living in different regions. Imagine living in a bustling city where the cost of living is high. Here, the living wage would naturally be higher than in a rural area where expenses are lower. This adaptability is crucial because it acknowledges the diverse economic landscapes workers navigate daily. The importance of a living wage extends beyond individual well-being. It promotes economic security, not just for workers, but for communities as a whole. When people earn enough to cover their basic needs, they are less likely to rely on public assistance programs. Moreover, a living wage can lead to a more motivated and productive workforce. It's also worth considering the broader social implications. A living wage can play a pivotal role in reducing poverty and inequality. By lifting people above the poverty line, it helps bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, fostering a more equitable society. However, implementing a living wage is not without its challenges. Critics argue that it could lead to increased costs for businesses, particularly small enterprises, potentially resulting in job losses or higher prices for consumers. Yet, proponents believe the long-term benefits outweigh these concerns, advocating for policies that support sustainable wage practices. As we explore this concept further, it's essential to recognize the living wage as a fundamental component of economic justice. In the next segment, we'll turn our attention to the minimum wage, examining its role and how it contrasts with the living wage. In our exploration of wages, we now turn our attention to the concept of the minimum wage. The minimum wage is a fundamental economic policy designed to set the lowest legal pay that employers can offer their workers. This legally mandated wage floor serves as a critical tool in labor markets across the globe, ensuring that workers receive a basic level of income for their labor. The origins of the minimum wage can be traced back to the early 20th century, when it was introduced as a means to protect workers from exploitation and to reduce poverty. The idea was simple. By setting a minimum threshold for wages, society could ensure a basic standard of living for its workforce. However, the minimum wage is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It varies significantly across different jurisdictions, reflecting the diverse economic landscapes and cost of living in various regions. In the United States, for instance, the federal minimum wage provides a baseline, but states and even cities have the authority to set higher minimum wages to better align with local economic conditions. This flexibility allows regions to adjust their wage policies to reflect the unique challenges and opportunities they face, but it also leads to significant disparities in minimum wage levels across the country. The role of the minimum wage extends beyond providing a wage floor. It acts as a benchmark that influences wage structures throughout the economy. For many low-income workers, it is a vital lifeline, offering a semblance of financial stability. However, the debate around the minimum wage is far from settled. Critics argue that setting the wage too high could lead to job losses as businesses struggle to absorb increased labor costs. On the other hand, proponents believe that a higher minimum wage can boost consumer spending, stimulate economic growth, and reduce reliance on social welfare programs. As we delve deeper into the implications of the minimum wage, it's essential to recognize its place within the broader economic system. It interacts with various factors such as inflation, productivity, and employment rates, shaping the economic landscape in complex ways. Understanding these dynamics is crucial as we consider future wage policies and their potential to foster economic justice and stability. In our next segment, we will compare the minimum wage with the living wage, exploring how these two concepts differ and what each means for workers and the economy. By examining both, we can gain a clearer picture of how wage policies impact our society and what changes might be necessary as we move towards the future of work. In the ongoing discourse about fair wages, the terms living wage and minimum wage are often used interchangeably, yet they represent distinct concepts with different goals and impacts. As we delve into this comparison, it's essential to understand how these two wage types differ in their coverage and the implications they hold for both individuals and society as a whole. The living wage is fundamentally about ensuring that workers earn enough to cover their basic needs: housing, food, healthcare, and education, providing them with economic security and dignity. It varies by location, reflecting the cost of living in different areas. The living wage is not legally mandated, but is rather a benchmark that advocates suggest employers should aim to meet to promote social welfare and reduce poverty. On the other hand, the minimum wage is a legally established baseline that sets the lowest hourly pay that employers can offer their workers. This wage varies across jurisdictions, influenced by regional economic conditions and political decisions. While the minimum wage aims to protect workers from exploitation, it often falls short of covering the full cost of living, especially in high-cost areas. When we compare these two concepts, the differences become stark. The living wage is aspirational, often linked to the idea of a fair wage that supports a decent standard of living. In contrast, the minimum wage is a statutory requirement, a baseline meant to prevent the most egregious forms of labor exploitation, but not necessarily to provide a comfortable life. The economic and social implications of these wages are profound. A living wage can lead to greater economic stability for individuals, reducing reliance on social welfare programs, and fostering a healthier, more productive workforce. It can help lift families out of poverty, offering them a chance to break the cycle of financial hardship. However, implementing a living wage can be challenging for businesses, especially small enterprises, which may struggle with increased labor costs. In contrast, the minimum wage, while providing a safety net, often does not suffice to meet the rising costs of living, leaving many workers in a precarious financial situation. It can, however, serve as a tool for economic policy, helping to stimulate consumer spending by increasing the purchasing power of the lowest-paid workers. Both wage models play critical roles in shaping economic and social landscapes. The living wage supports the notion of economic justice. aiming to ensure that work pays enough to live on, while the minimum wage provides a legal framework to protect workers from exploitation. As we consider the role of these wages in reducing poverty, it's clear that a living wage has a more direct impact. By aligning wages with the actual cost of living, it addresses the root causes of poverty, offering a pathway to financial independence and stability. Ultimately, the conversation about living wages versus minimum wages is not just about numbers, it's about values and priorities. It's about deciding what kind of society we want to build. One where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, or one where survival is the best that many can hope for. As we move forward, these discussions will be crucial in shaping the future of work and ensuring that economic growth benefits all members of society. In our exploration of the living wage and minimum wage, it's crucial to delve into how these wage policies ripple through our economy and affect the lives of workers. At the heart of this analysis is the impact on worker rights. The living wage, by its very nature, supports the notion that every worker deserves fair compensation that meets basic living standards. It champions the right to a dignified life, free from the stress of financial insecurity. On the other hand, the minimum wage, while providing a baseline, often falls short of ensuring these rights. The implications extend beyond individual rights to broader economic growth and stability. A living wage can stimulate local economies by increasing the purchasing power of workers. When workers earn enough to cover their needs, they spend more on goods and services, driving demand and potentially spurring economic growth. This, in turn, can lead to job creation and a more robust economy. However, opponents argue that raising wages could lead to inflation, increased prices, and potential job losses as businesses struggle to cope with higher labor costs. Both wage concepts face significant challenges and criticisms. Critics of the living wage argue that it could lead to job cuts or deter businesses from investing in regions where the cost of labor is high. The minimum wage is not without its criticisms either. Some argue that it is an outdated concept that doesn't reflect the current economic realities. The static nature of minimum wage laws often fails to keep pace with inflation and rising living costs, leaving many workers struggling to make ends meet. Despite these challenges, the push for fair wages is a testament to the ongoing struggle for economic justice and worker empowerment. As we analyze these wage policies, it's evident that they play a pivotal role in shaping not just the workforce, but the economic fabric of society itself. In conclusion, understanding the implications of these wage policies is essential for anyone interested in the future of work. As we continue to grapple with the complexities of a changing economy, the conversation around living wages and minimum wages remains more relevant than ever. It's a dialogue that calls for careful consideration, balancing the needs of workers with the realities faced by businesses, all while striving towards a fairer economic landscape for all. As we draw to the conclusion of our exploration into the intricacies of wage systems, it's vital to cast our eyes forward to the future. The landscape of work is evolving rapidly, driven by technological advancements and shifting societal values. In this dynamic environment, wage policies will play a crucial role in shaping the future of work. Trends in wage policies are already beginning to reflect the demands of a modern workforce. There's a growing recognition that wages need to keep pace with the cost of living, ensuring that workers can not only survive, but thrive. This means that the conversation around wages is increasingly centered on the concept of a living wage, as opposed to just a minimum wage. This shift is not only about fairness, but about fostering economic resilience and stability. Looking ahead, the future work environment will be unlike anything we've seen before. The rise of remote work, the gig economy, and automated processes are redefining how we think about jobs and compensation. In this new world, wage systems must be adaptable and responsive to these changes, ensuring that all workers, regardless of their employment type, receive fair compensation. Yet with these changes come challenges. There's a pressing need for policies that not only address immediate economic needs, but also anticipate future trends. This calls for a proactive approach to wage legislation that considers the long-term implications for workers and the economy alike. Ultimately, the discussion around wages is part of a broader call for economic justice. It's about creating a system where everyone has the opportunity to succeed, where hard work is rewarded, and where economic disparities are minimized. This is not just a matter of policy, but of principle, ensuring that the future of work is equitable and just for all. As we move forward, let us advocate for wage systems that reflect these ideals. Let us engage in informed discussions, pushing for policies that prioritize the well-being of workers and the health of the economy. By understanding and addressing these issues today, we can pave the way for a more just and prosperous future for everyone. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the complex world of wages. We hope this exploration has equipped you with the knowledge to engage in meaningful conversations and advocate for change. Together, we can work towards a future where economic justice is not just a goal, but a reality.